Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to this week's edition of the Pendulum, coming to you live on Lagos Television. The Pendulum is a platform through which we discuss burning national issues on the station. And this week on the program, we'll be looking at the state of the nation. We all know what is happening in our country now: insecurity, unstable power supply, and a couple of other challenges facing the country, especially that of insecurity. You will recall what happened in Oyo State recently, and just yesterday, the younger sister of the former Minister of Power, Prince Adelabu, was kidnapped, and that also generated some reactions from different quarters in the country. So this afternoon on the program, we'll be looking at the state of the nation, and of course, some questions will be asked as to the seriousness of the current government about tackling insecurity, about repositioning the economy of the country, and of course, improving power supply as we approach the 2027 general elections. A presidential candidate of the SDP for the 2027 general elections will be joining me on the program via Zoom immediately after this break. So we'll go on a very short break at this moment on the program to bring you the summary of political activities in the country. We'll be right back. Thank you for staying tuned. There you have the summary of political activities in the country. For those who are just joining us, you're watching The Pendulum, a weekly political program on Lagos Television. And we are being joined this afternoon by Prince Adewale Adebayo, who is of the Social Democratic Party and, of course, the presidential candidate of the party for the 2027 general elections, just like it was in 2023 when it came fifth. Prince Adewale, it's our pleasure to have you this afternoon.
Good to speak with you, and God bless Nigeria.
God bless you too. Okay, I really do not want us to play politics this afternoon because we'll be talking more about the mood of the nation, the state of the nation as we speak today. Looking at the country presently, how does it make you feel as a Nigerian?
Well, it makes me feel challenged. It makes me feel there is opportunity for leadership. It makes me feel encouraged that we are facing the problems of our generation, and the people are rising to the occasion. And we are now conscious, discussing our collective safety, collective security, and taking more time to examine the state of our governance. And it is now a conversation that it is not limited to politicians, that the citizens are feeling that, okay, this time around, having good government in place, having a good government in place is not an option. It's not a luxury. It is not just the pastime of politicians, that truly it has come to a point of inevitability that we now need to fix our government. That is why in rural areas, in urban areas, among the detached elite, among the common people and the middle classes, everywhere, we are now facing existential challenges, which will make us at least to pay attention to the need for leadership, because we'll be having circumstances and situations nibbling at the edges of our safety over time. Social safety net, economic safety, job security, food security, sustainability of our environment. All sorts of problems have been confronting us, and people have somehow been playing the ostrich burying our head in the sand, thinking that the problem will go away. Our people have become more religious, more ritualistic, more fatalistic, just anything but to face the problem. So I think it now has come to a point where you can't say, well, I can manage my poverty, I can manage my unemployment, I can manage my lack of electricity, I can manage my poor transportation system, I can manage poor housing, I can manage lack of water supply, I can manage broken down schools. But now, you can't manage dying. So you have to now, you reach a point where you can say, no, I don't want to die, and I don't want my family to die. So how do we solve the problem? We need to fix the government. That's how I feel.
All right. I do agree with you that there are a lot of challenges plaguing the country as we speak. But then, whether we like it or not, government is a continuum. And earlier you raised the problem of insecurity, which did not start with this present government. So do you think things would have been far better than what it is now if we had accommodated the creation of state police before now?
No, you see, state police, local government police, federal police, the first you have to get governance right. It's an environment in which you have good governance. That's where you can start to look for technical and technocratic solutions. When you are, remember we had local government police before, we had regional police before, then we had the national police. Then we merge all of them together. So you can go back to the earlier one, you can keep the one you have now, but what's important is that you need to understand that you must have a government that works, that is consistent with what is written in the Constitution. When we go to chapter 2 of the Constitution, fundamental objectives and directive principles of state policy, how government should be, what government should focus on, the philosophy of government, how to behave when you are in government, what people should expect from their government, what citizens should do, starting from section 13 all the way to the end of that chapter. You will see that when we adhere to that, whether we want to have state police, local government police, federal police, community police, that will come naturally and it will work. The problem is we don't have a government in place. We have people in power. But because they have not followed the model and the systems set up in the Constitution, no matter how you change from government to government, everybody, I've seen people posting posters, oh, Tinubu is this, Tinubu is that. I saw the same thing. Buhari was this, Buhari was that. I saw the same thing. Goodluck Jonathan was this, was that. And even in Obasanjo's time, people were complaining. The connecting dot to all of this is that we have to put in place a government that follows the Constitution. And what we call government now is an aberration, an abomination.
What do you mean? What do you mean it's an aberration? Is the government of the day operating outside the 1999 Constitution as amended?
Yes, they're operating because if you look at chapter 2 of the Constitution, it tells us what should be the priority of government.
The welfare and security of the people.
Security and welfare of the people. And there will be a social democracy. That's what it says we will be. We will put the welfare of the people tops. And that those who are in government will derive their power from the people. They will be simple. They will live with the people. What we are having now is a succession from Lugard to Balewa to Tinubu. Apart from the fact that the president dresses like us and has native names and speaks my kind of English with Nigerian accent, there is no difference between how he executed his office and the way the colonial masters executed their offices.
Does he not live in Nigeria? Does he not live in Nigeria?
Lugard also live in Nigeria. And all the other colonial masters live in Nigeria. Arthur Richards, all of them live in Nigeria. The issue is that it doesn't feel like the government of the people. And that's not because of the president alone. Even because of the way we organize our political parties, the way we conduct our elections, the way our governors behave, they behave, even our police doesn't derive from the people. Even the armed forces don't derive from the people. And that is why the SDP, we decided that, look, you continue to blame this government, blame that government. You need to first ask yourself, before you can say, this room is too tight, this ceiling is too low, this road is too narrow, go back to how it was designed. If all of us agree on how it was designed, and we follow that design, it doesn't matter whether SDP is in power or APC is in power. If we follow the way it is designed, we will find out that the government will work out fine.
What do you mean by design?
Okay, now what I mean is that in 1979, we inserted Chapter 2 into our Constitution. And that Chapter 2 was highly debated from the Constitutional Assembly in 1977. And it was debated thoroughly that, look, the problem and failures of the First Republic was that our people used elections to collect power, but they did not know what to do when in government. So it was agreed that we must put fundamental objectives of what government should do and directive principle on how to do it in the Constitution. Now, it was put there. And if you notice, you can go and play the tape again. When President Bola Ahmed Tinubu took his oath of office on May 29, 2023, like the others before him, he took the oath of allegiance to Nigeria, he took the oath of secrecy, he now took the oath of not to take bias, he now took the oath to comply and enforce Chapter 2 of the Constitution, fundamental objectives and directive principles of state policy. But after taking that oath, he stepped down, he was reading his speech, he started violating the oath from there.
How do you mean?
By saying, subsidy is gone.
How does that violate the constitution of the country? You all campaigned, Prince Adewale, you all campaigned that if you were elected as the president of this country, that you are going to remove subsidy, yes or no?
No, you are wrong. And don't say that again.
Okay.
When we campaign, I said, do not follow that policy. Do not remove the subsidy. Do you know why?
Why?
Because if you do so, you will violate the Constitution, which says that your government must be first and foremost for the security and welfare of the people. And I said, if you do that, you are going to violate the welfare of the people, prices will increase, tension will happen, and at the end of the day, people's cost of living will go over the roof, and the essence of being government will have been defeated.
Prince Adewale, do you realize that the economy of the country was on the brink of collapse when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu took over the mantle of leadership, and the government before him, which was led by late President Muhammadu Buhari, did not make provision for the sustenance of subsidy in the budget for that year?
Now, you are correct. It was on the verge of collapse. But that does not mean that President Tinubu should collapse it, like he has collapsed it now.
By saving the country from being prodigal?
No.
By wasting money on subsidy?
With due respect, you cannot save the country if you don't save the people inside the country. You can't save the country. If the people inside the country are the country. What has happened was that President Muhammadu Buhari, may God have mercy on him wherever he is, did not provide for a subsidy provision in the Constitution.
In the budgets.
Because he said that the amount was getting close to 2 trillion. However, he himself, without appropriation, took 33 trillion out of the economy. Without appropriation, it was supposed to be removed and sentenced to prison for that.
Who?
At the eve of his departure.
Who?
The same National Assembly that passed that last budget for Buhari and they could not provide 2 trillion to the economy to stabilize fuel price and factor price. The same National Assembly passed a law to forgive Buhari of 33 trillion unaccounted spending. So that government was working against the people already. Secondly, that same Buhari and later President Tinubu were devoting more money than the subsidy for the revamping and turnaround maintenance of refineries. They squander all that money and they refuse to let the refineries work, because if the refineries had worked, the issue of subsidy would not have arisen. Remember that subsidy came by way of bridging the gap between importation and local production. And we have 4 refineries heavily invested in by the people. The money that would have been used for other things that money was used to do the refinery, to build it, and to maintain it. At the end of the day, they betrayed the people. What I'm bringing out of all of this is that if we follow our constitution and we govern for the people, and our budget derives from the needs of the people, our security derives from the community, you have an army with a garrison in Ogbomoso composed of young people from Ogbomoso who want to protect their community. You would have better security if you have the police, whether it's federal police, whether it's state police, whether it's Orire local government police, that derives from recruitment of the people from their community to serve in the police to defend their community. You have a more effective security than the security that's behaving like West African Frontier Force, like behaving like the old Hausa constabulary, does not come from the people, is posted there. I came to Oyo State. I went to the community. I spoke with the governor of the state, and we x-rayed the problem. The governor of Oyo State, Seyi Makinde, does not have one single power more than me with respect to the safety and security of Oyo State.
Okay.
He has no access to intelligence.
Prince Adewale, we all know that these governors, they collect security votes every month. Aside from that, what do you think this government should have done differently with the case that you refer to, which is what's happened in Oyo State, the abduction of pupils from their schools? Okay, what do you think this government should have done differently?
First, collecting security vote does not mean that you are applying to security.
So are you blaming Mr. President for that?
Hold on. What I'm saying is security vote and all of these issues are already a symbol of a failure of a security apparatus. So it's like collecting mortuary money when you should have used money for primary health care to take care of the people so that they don't die. So security vote doesn't make a difference. What makes a difference is a security architecture that derives from the people and is sustainable enough to be able to protect you and prevent crimes and govern the territory. What the President Tinubu should have done differently, and this is what I would do as president, it's as follows. Immediately he got to office, even now it's not too late. It's late, but it's not too late. What you do is that you reform the armed forces.
I want you to speak directly to the incidents that happened in Oyo State.
No, because you are taking incidents. What are the one that happened in Askira Uba? What are the one that happened in Yelwata? What are happening? It's happening everywhere. Why will you listen to Oyo? I'm not going to be chairman of Orire local government.
That is the current one. That is what is trending in the country.
You know, if you want to solve the problem of security in Nigeria, you have to get to the root of it. For example, do you know that the people who went to Orire local government, they used to be in Kebbi State? I'm just letting you know that they used to be in Kebbi State. And because the army was operating in Kebbi, and they didn't do hot pursuit, Some of them migrated down to Kwara, and then they came to Oyo State. And if you are not careful, they will go further. So you cannot be running episodic government. That's part of the mistake President Tinubu has been making. You can't be running episodic reactive government where if something happens in Oyo, you focus on Oyo only. You need to be proactive, collect intelligence, and know where it's going to happen next. What we need is a nationwide program by which the armed forces are reformed and restructured in such a way that, one, every garrison and cantonment can be regimented in a way that you take care of, like Oyo State now, Ibadan, Ibarapa, and Okeogun. These are three different districts or zones of Oyo State. The garrison that is taking care of that area has close collaboration with the governor of the state, and they work it out. The police, by now, President Tinubu should not be playing politics with issue of state police. What we cannot run away from is that we need to decentralize the command structure of the police.
What politics is Mr. President playing with the creation of state police if the Constitution is not amended by the National Assembly?
Look at the issue. There have been many amendments of the Constitution, and there have been policies set in place. What needs to be done is just to take the police from the exclusive list and put in the concurrent list. And the state houses of assembly, for example, in the West, that promulgated Amatekun laws, they already primed themselves already, provided that the section of the Constitution, the item regarding policing, is taken from exclusive to the concurrent.
But that will be done by the National Assembly before it will trickle down to state assemblies.
What I am saying to you is that an executive bill to the National Assembly is the most effective way to do it. What the president is doing is trying to put state governors under the supervision of the IGP. It won't work. To say, I set up a committee with the police. Police is not a law-making body. Police is a law enforcement body. So he says, I put the committee under the IG, and state governors should submit proposals. So it doesn't work that way. What you do is the same thing you did when it comes to power, other things. You go to the Constitution, remove policing from concurrent exclusive list and put on the concurrent list, and each state will now formulate its own police in a way that is conducive to their own environment and condition. And then because we have other safeguards in the Constitution already, for example, Chapter 4, it applies to all police, whether it is federal police, whether it's state police. No police in Nigeria can detain somebody beyond 48 hours. No police in Nigeria
on paper
can...
On paper?
No. On law, everything.
It's on paper. We have seen people detained more than 48 hours.
Excuse me. There are some papers you have to respect. Everything about governance is on paper. The Constitution itself is on paper. The fact that Tinubu is being called president today is on paper. We have to learn the habit of respecting our constitutional arrangement. And I have spent my entire adult life practicing law, enforcing what this you call paper. And I've used it to change the decision of presidents, National Assembly, INEC, everywhere. So it is very effective.
Okay, Prince Adewale, because of our time, we really need to manage our time very well. I know you are one of the major opposition voices in the country. Unfortunately, you are the presidential candidate of the SDP for 2027 presidential election. I want you to speak like a Nigerian now and not like a politician. Would you say that it is all gloomy with this government and you have not seen any semblance of improvement in any sector at all without playing politics?
First and foremost, we need to be honest. The government has not done well at all.
In all sectors?
It's very clear now. I can take it one by one. They've not done well at all.
Are you being
It's
sincere?
like you're asking me to evaluate a student that did 8 subjects in WAEC
Do you
and
realize
got,
what we have in foreign reserves as we speak? Do you realize that this government actually introduced some reforms to salvage the economy from collapsing?
please, let us be honest with ourselves. You say I should talk like a Nigerian.
Yes, not like a politician.
Yeah, so let me talk like a Nigerian. And I'm honest, I'm an honest Nigerian. The 5 areas that concern Nigerians are as follows. 1, security. The government hasn't done well. People don't feel secure. Even the government itself doesn't feel secure.
Okay,
So,
let's do security. We have said so much about that. Let's go to something else.
two. Second one is on welfare. Nigerians don't have help. The government can't help you in every aspect of your life. If you have housing problem, government can't help you. If you have problem with food, government can't help you. If you have problem with healthcare, government can't help you. If you have problem with employment, government can't help you. If you have problem with making progress in your business, government can't help you. So leave that. Then we go to economy. The price, the price of having a home is so high. For example, before President Tinubu came, the price of cement was around 4,000. It is now 14,000. The price of petrol was around 400. It is now 1,003, 1,002, 1,004, depending on the time.
But the market for petrol was deregulated. That's on one side.
I'm giving you, you want an honest, sometimes an honest answer is not a pleasant answer. Because you want to see which sector you have done well for the Nigerian people. You see, so, and I have to speak not on behalf of myself. I'm speaking to you from New York. Whatever is happening in Nigeria now, today, tomorrow is not affecting me temporarily. But it doesn't mean that every Nigerian will come to New York like me now. So I have to speak for them. I have to speak for the people I represent. That in every aspect of life, they don't say, oh, okay, when I had 5 children, only 2 were employed. Since Tinubu came, 1 more has gotten a job. It's not so. There's more unemployment now.
Where is your statistics coming from?
My statistics is from the government-owned Bureau of Statistics and from the living experience of people. And ask your neighbors, when last did anybody say, oh, I got a job somewhere? It is not, there's no job. Your landlord is tense because if the roofing sheet is leaking, he has to spend more money now to buy a roofing sheet. You yourself, the rent is going up higher than your salary. I don't know.
How do you know that?
I don't know.
How do you know that?
I don't know the situation. Sir?
How do you know that?
Because, 1, I am a player in the housing industry.
Oh, okay.
I know that every building material is up. I'm also an employer of labor. And I can tell you that people who work for me complain bitterly that however much you increase our salary, our costs can't. I woke up this morning with about a list of my staff asking for loans, over 300.
Okay, President Adewale, because of our time.
I don't know the situation, excuse me, sir, I don't know the situation in Lagos television, but I can tell you, if you ask around you, ask your driver, ask your colleagues, ask them a simple question. Can your pay slip pay half of your cost of living?
Okay, because of our time, we really need to manage our time well.
Children, healthcare,
we really need to manage our time well. I'm aware that inflation, as we speak today, is not only limited to Nigeria. That's on one side. Then what do you have to say about some of the economic reforms of this government, recapitalization of the banking industry, the new tax laws?
They are very bad policies. Let me tell you why.
Bad?
They are bad. Let me tell you why. I am a shareholder in some of these banks, and we attend general meetings and all of that. And I remind them that the capitalization of the banks now is even weaker than the capitalization under Obasanjo. So they will tell you the largest bank in Nigeria today is Zenith Bank. They will say it's fighting towards 2 trillion. But when you adjust it in real dollar terms, it is weaker than an average bank in South Africa. Because of the bad policy, President Tinubu is like Gorbachev, who did Glasnost and Perestroika at the same time. What President Tinubu did was to do subsidy removal and liberalization of the currency at the same time. Nobody does that. Common sense economics tell you can't do that.
Is the forex market not stable now?
You can't do that.
Is the forex market not stable now?
It is not stable because, let me tell you why it's not stable.
Is that not the real value of Naira?
Well, let me explain to you. The essence of your foreign exchange management is a monetary policy tool. Is to drive efficiencies in your economy. It's called allocative efficiencies. What President Tinubu tried to solve was the problem of round tripping, which is a problem that India has solved, other countries have solved. It's not difficult to solve. The law against round tripping is a law enforcement issue. But what he has done is that he has created a situation where industrial capacity has collapsed, input into the economy by industries, average industry has collapsed, and factor price. There are two ways to measure factor price. You measure price if I'm buying things to produce other things, or if I'm buying things to consume. On both sides of the spectrum, the ability to have a good purchasing power has collapsed. Now you are talking about foreign reserve. Let me address the issue of foreign reserve. The foreign reserve will have been impressive.
Prince Adewale, we need to wind down on this particular conversation because of our time. We might need to have a part 2 of this interview, if you don't mind.
No problem.
All right. We must thank you very much for your time, Prince Adewale Adebayo, the presidential
Thank you, and God bless Nigeria.
Presidential candidate of the SDP for the 2027 presidential election. We thank you for your time.
Thank you, and God bless Nigeria.
God bless you too. All right, we'll take another quick break on the program right now to bring you the soundbite of the week.
Directed that we must establish for Oyo State forest guards of minimum of 1,000 from the first week of June. And we are going to do that immediately after we back to Abuja. We are going to do it in collaboration with the state government.
Why do you need 1,000 forest guards when you have millions of policemen, well, I would say thousands of policemen who are idle, fighting fighting protesters? Why don't you just deploy these guys? Look at them, and send them over to Oyo State until they retrieve the kids. You don't let them come back. A lot of kids are kidnapped across the country. In Borno State, Katsina State, in Kaduna State. There are people kidnapped in Ekiti State that have not been rescued for months. So this is a struggle for all kidnapped persons and school children in particular.
Those were the sound bites of the National Security Advisor, Malam Nur Ribadu, as well as the presidential candidate of the AAC, Omoyele Shore, on the school kidnap in Oyo State. We hope that the government of the day will find a lasting solution to some of this problem plaguing the country, as highlighted by our guests on the program this afternoon. That's the show today. We thank you very much for watching. I am Ajibola Ojoshola. Bye for now.